So segueing the last paragraph or two from last week's in Lord Mayor, on another occasion, an elderly man, Mr. Audrey, came with his wife and child to Russell Road for Baba's blessing. He was a lover of philosophy and a kind-hearted person whom Baba liked. Baba took Audrey's son on his lap and kissed him. Seeing this, Audrey's heart filled with love. Though he tried to check his emotions, tears fell from his eyes. Consoling him, Baba explained, "The study of book knowledge and philosophy merely satisfies the intellect, but it is not all. The real thing is to think of God, to feel God, and to experience God. Actual feeling, perception, and experience should be gained, for these are real. Intellectual conviction is the first step, and faith is born from it, but there should be continuous progress." Baba instructed Mr. Audrey to meditate on God for half an hour daily. On the same subject, Baba once put it succinctly: all philosophy is meaningless without the actual experience of Godhood. Harry J. Strutton, editor of the Occult Review magazine, came to meet Baba. Strutton had heard much about Baba through Meredith and had written to Baba in July 1929. Footnote says Meredith Starr reviewed books for and had been a regular contributor to the Occult Review since 1910. Paul Brunton was a contributor and editor as well. An article by K.J. Dastoor, the article being His Holiness Sadhguru Meher Baba, was published in the September issue. Explaining about the role of the intellect and the heart, Baba stated, "There is a vast difference between the intellect and the heart. It would be wonderful if both were used for the highest good, but to have only intellect with a dry heart is of no use. The supremacy of the heart over the intellect is best. Compared to a, in brackets, religious hypocrite, an honest atheist is preferred. Books give only the outer husk. Real knowledge is not derived from books. Real knowledge is the guru's gift, but it is not given without paying the price of love. Love has great powers, and love alone is the shortest and easiest path to self-realization. Only through love can realization be attained." Baba, accompanied by Desmond and Kim, Margaret Kraske, Meredith, and Kitty, took Rustam, Chanji, and Aga Ali to see the musical comedy White Horse Inn at the London Coliseum on Saturday evening, 26 September 1931. And there's a footnote. The London Coliseum was built to be the largest and finest, quote, people's palace of entertainment, unquote, of its age. The play Baba saw revolves around the attempts of the head waiter of the White Horse Inn to woo its owner, an attractive young widow. An actress named Cordelia de Leon, 30 years old, was introduced to Baba. "This is the living Christ," she was told. Delia, as she was called, was immediately drawn to Baba and sat by his side. Every day thereafter in London, Delia saw Baba. Along with her younger brother Jack, who was a playwright, Delia had started the small experimental Q Theatre in London. In an emotionally stricken state, she had previously gone to East Chalacombe in the summer of 1931, mentally and physically depressed. There she heard of Baba. "You have never seen such a being," Herbert told her enthusiastically after he had met Baba. Meeting Meher Baba changed her life. Delia recalled her first momentous time with the master. "I sat next to Baba at the London Coliseum, but he took very little notice of me. He looked so radiantly beautiful. I was shy and nervous at first and could not find my bearings. I felt as if someone had taken a hammer and knocked me over the head. I was stunned with the wonder of Baba. From just seeing him, nothing else existed for me. From first sight, I had implicit faith and trust in him. I asked no questions. I wanted nothing from him. I loved him as Jesus was loved by his disciples. I therefore gave my life into his keeping and knew that my search was at an end. A spiritual drama was being staged in Delia's heart, and she surrendered to Baba forever. She was now eager to witness the play within, and she clung to Baba's feet for all time to come. How wonderful was this meeting in the theater with the star of the universal show. Delia was destined to play a part in the divine drama. She was to play her true role in the master's universal cinema as one of his circle members, like Margaret and Kitty. Later, Delia brought her younger sister, Aminta Toledano, 23, her brother Jack, 28, and her mother to meet Baba. Her father had died many years before. Delia's sister was called Minta, and she once recollected her first meeting with Baba. "My sister Delia had met Baba at the theater and was absolutely knocked bowled over. She asked me if I would like to meet him, and I said yes. I was not seeking as she was, but when she told me what reactions she had had to Baba, I said I would like to meet him too. The first time I saw him at Kitty's house, I was terribly moved. I can't say why at all. I found myself weeping and could not stop. Suddenly, Baba spelled out on the board to one of the Mandali, 'Ask her why she is weeping.' I spontaneously said, 'Because you are so beautiful.' From that point on, I only wanted to look at him and be with him, just sit on the floor and look at him. I didn't want to ask anything. Baba was wearing a white robe with his hair long. His face was very, very beautiful. There was an aura of light around him, which one cannot really describe. In his presence, I could not look at anyone else. I couldn't think of anyone or anything. My mother and brother met Baba at the same time. Jack functioned on an intellectual level, and Baba did not really function on that level at all or answer theoretical questions. Consequently, my brother was put off. My mother was also very skeptical and did not get involved with Baba. But I was really taken with him and was told I could come again. I went every time it was possible. Next reader, please.
At Delia's
Whoops.
At Delia's first private interview, Baba told her, "It's not chance that brought you here. Zilla Cluse's 8-year-old sister, Virginia, called Jenny, told her Aunt Kitty with childlike innocence, I would have liked to kiss and hug Baba these past days, but his mustache comes in the way. I love Baba, but I don't like his mustache. Kitty informed Baba about this, and he made Jenny sit by his side. The girl received much attention from Baba. Once he asked her, should I trim my mustache? She replied that he should. Thereafter, he did have his mustache trimmed. Years later, during the 1960s, Jenny Cluse described her first meeting with Baba. It is as vivid today as it was over 30 years back. Baba told me to sit perfectly still in front of him for 1 minute, and he held the watch in front of him. I was not to speak. When the time was up and he told me to go, I didn't want to and started to cry. His wonderful eyes and their expression, I have never forgotten. Because it was Sunday, Zilla was allowed to be brought from her school to spend the afternoon with Baba. Games and gramophone records were enjoyed by all. Quentin came again that afternoon, and although Baba had announced he would not meet visitors that day, he made an exception for Quentin, who was a charming individual, and met with him for half an hour. On Monday, 28 September 1931, Baba asked Kitty's mother, Helena, if there were anything she would like to ask him. How should I address you? She asked. As Lord Baba? Baba smiled and indicated that was fine. Mrs. Davy then said, I am the secretary of a charitable institution which provides shelter to the poor, destitute, and elderly. I try to serve them and be of help. Very good, Baba gestured. Continue that work. I wish those at the shelter could meet you and receive your blessings, she said. If they were to see me, it would be to their great benefit. I would make them understand. But they are unable to come here. They are quite old, and many of them are feeble. Baba then surprised her by indicating that he would go to see them. Would you really? Asked Mrs. Davy. But some are dumb and deaf and dumb. It will be hard to make them listen and understand what you wish to explain. Baba assured her, I will definitely go to see them. Schedule a time. It is so very kind of you. I am so grateful to you. Others were surprised that Baba had agreed to go, but he explained, the poor deserve my consideration. When I went to Madras, influential, well-to-do, and devout souls came from my darshan. But leaving them, I went out to visit the untouchables of the locality, and people gazed at me in wonder, seeing me among the lowly Harijans. Scroll. In the morning, Baba had been to the Persian Council in relation to his wish to travel to Turkey and America. He received both documents in a short time without a problem. At 2:30, he went with Meredith and Margaret Starr to visit Meredith's mother. On their return, Baba paid a visit to Margaret and Mabel's ballet school, the Krask Ryan Studio at 26 West Street off Cambridge Circus. The young students stared at him, inquiring about him and remarking that Baba had a wonderful face. That night, Baba went to the film Daddy Longlegs about an orphan and her benefactor, but Baba left the theater before it was over. The following day, 29 September, many Londoners came to see Baba at the Davies House. They included scientists, poets, politicians, musicians, and others. Among them was a popular editor, Mr. Vivian. Baba gave his loving welcome to all and commented, in the future, people will begin to understand things as they really are, not as they see them now. Vivian proceeded to ask many questions, which Baba answered, dictating from his alphabet board. The following is their conversation. We are living in great times. A great change has taken place in life, and I would like to help as much as I can, Vivian said. Your thoughts are very noble, Baba stated. What you say will, in itself, help you, even without your consciously knowing it. I believe that if all the nations of Europe come together to form a United States of Europe, it would be most welcome. It is a very good idea, Baba agreed. With Gandhi's arrival here, there is the likelihood that an atmosphere of unity and spirituality will prevail. What is your opinion of Mahatma Gandhi? Baba: he is a very good man. He came to me on the ship and sought my counsel. I told him that after his political activities, he should seclude himself by coming to stay with me. He said he would try. Vivian then asked, is it not good for spiritual workers to be involved in politics? Baba dictated, in a way, but only at the start of their search. The goal is far, far away and beyond imagination and intellect. To be perfect and to realize God, one must transcend the intellect. It is the aim of life to attain selfhood, but only a few heroes can reach the goal. Could you show us some means to overcome our weaknesses and faults? By selfless service, devotion, and love, by utilizing our best in the service of others, by remaining in the world and yet not being of it, Baba dictated. Vivian asked, what about a person who is so engaged in various activities that he does not know which activity is more important and which to give up? At such times, one worries, even if the intention is good. Baba: but one must not worry at all. Doing your duties selflessly, try to go beyond the domain of intellect. Thirst for divine inspiration, perception, and experience of infinite consciousness. Merge in the ocean of divinity, Baba exhorted him. How can I attain such a state? By doing selfless service, having a pure character, and by devotion and love for God. Could you show us how to do it? Is there anything we can do ourselves? Any instructions about food? At Meher's suggestion, Baba replied, if you can possibly give up eating meat, do that, but don't let it disrupt your day-to-day activities and health. Any instructions of something to do every day? Baba spelled out, after washing your face in the morning, meditate on me for 5 minutes. Meditate alone, undisturbed and isolated. I will guide you spiritually, not by words. You will feel my very presence. During this occasion, a musician named Hals was distressed because he could not compose at times. Baba consoled him. You should not worry over it or be anxious. As a matter of fact, there is nothing in the world to worry about. This is weakness. Never worry. I will help you spiritually and not with words. Thereafter, Hal's wife was called in and she said, I was a skeptic, but after meeting you, my illness, which has troubled me for years, has left me. I feel mentally perplexed and physically stiff at times. Perhaps it is because I eat meat. Okay, we could have another reader.
Baba indicated to her, it is not a question of food or eating meat. You may eat it. Your heart is pure, and that is enough. Do one thing. Stop worrying. I shall help you and your husband. Footnote. The name Halls appears above a blank line in Chanji's diary for this contact, so it is probably a name Chanji filled in later when he asked about it. It is quite possible that this contact was the English composer Gustav Holst, who had once taught Kitty. I will go back to the first event, which occurred in 1907 in London, England, when I was at St. Paul's High School. My contact with Gustav Holst. This great composer and conductor was on the visiting staff and taught choral singing classes weekly. Although I was unaware at the time of his great love for Indian mysticism, Perhaps some transference of consciousness took place to bloom later. That was Kitty Davy speaking. Kitty Davy, love alone prevails. Baba indicated, whoops. Oh, no, I did that, okay. Wait a minute. I thought I'd do one thing, stop worrying, we did that.
As mentioned,
the Davies' oldest daughter, May Cluse, 42, also met Baba a number of times. Unlike Herbert and Kitty, however, May was skeptical of Baba and confronted him. I have faith in Christ and also believe that there is no other Christ and there will be no other such being in the future. Jesus was the only one and will be the only Christ forever. Since Christianity is predominant in the West, it is superior in religion and spirit to the East. Baba calmly dictated in reply, "To explain it all to you will take time, but I will convince you that I have gained the state of Christhood and that I am the Christ." "Impossible," she exclaimed. "I don't believe you. I don't understand what you mean." Baba, were I to explain it to you, you would understand everything. Truth is above religion. Truth is far, far beyond the intellect. It can only be reached by love. Christ attained that state of divine love. I am in the same state and I have its experience. I am always in the Christ state of everlasting bliss. Baba's answer and smile erased much of May's skepticism. Many came to see Baba and he met all with love. The close ones did not pose any questions because they were engrossed in singing the song which he had taught them by his inner touch. Those who did not know how to sing would ask questions, and Baba would answer them patiently. There were also those who did not ask questions, but who also had no desire to sing. They simply enjoyed being in the master's company and listening to the singing of the others and took away their share. These birds of his garden in the West who had started singing included Margaret, Kitty, Zilla, Delia, Minta, Purdom, Mabel, Quentin, Kim, Tom, and Enid. Baba once revealed to this group, "I am the source of all knowledge, all love, and all bliss. Love me, the source of all love, and be happy, and don't worry." Among the several hundred people who had come to see him in London, Baba taught only these few to sing. In the others, he created the longing to hear the song. The group would often sit around Baba in perfect silence. It was a wonderful time, as recalled by Kim. We lived only in the light and love of his wondrous being, and the silence was fuller than any music, any poem, any scripture. Silence filled with love and light, revealing the true meaning of life. Love made flesh was dwelling amongst us. Many years later, Kim related, "It is difficult to convey convey the effect Baba had on the early English devotees. His sight blotted out, as it were, everything else. I think it was Plato who said something to the effect that when the sun shines, one doesn't see the stars. We all lived in an enchanted world in which nothing existed save the beloved. On Wednesday, 30th September 1931, Baba went to the studio of a Japanese photographer named Kinye Imai to have his picture taken. Footnote: Imai's studio was located at 83 Ebury Street, London. The 6 portraits he took of Baba turned out superbly and were treasured by his lovers. During one evening in London, Baba attended a concert of the BBC Symphony Orchestra at Queen's Hall, but he did not enjoy the classical music. At intermission, Baba was taken backstage to meet the conductor, Sir Henry J. Wood, 62, who had expressed a wish to meet him. Kitty knew Sir Henry, as she taught piano to his 2 daughters. On the morning of 1st October, Baba and a group visited the London Zoo. That night, Baba and the group went to the Piccadilly Theatre to see the play Folly to be Wise. May continued to be skeptical about Baba and told Kitty, quotes, "You are being hypocritical by shedding tears. You unreasonably go on weeping just to show your love for Baba. It is not love, but a sham and a show. It is all humbug. It upsets me to witness such hypocrisy," end quotes. Upset by her sister's accusation, Kitty told Baba about it. On the 1st, Baba called May and explained to her, quotes, "It is no pretense. The tears that you see are the outcome of Kitty's love, which she cannot prevent," end quotes. Baba then warned May, quotes, "You will also start loving me within 2 days," end quotes. May burst out laughing and did not believe him. But that night, when she was with Baba along with the others, she suddenly burst into tears, which she could not control for 3 hours. This inexplicable experience humbled her. The following day, Baba traveled about London by taxi, attending to errands with Aga Ali, Chanji, and Meredith. They first went to the American Embassy for their visas to the United States, where Baba was required only to sign an X on the application form, as he preferred not to sign his name. Baba's occupation was listed as spiritual teacher, Chanji's as secretary, and Ali as servant. Baba then returned to Margaret and Mabel's dance studio, where he watched a ballet class being taught and stayed for tea. On this occasion, Baba remarked to Margaret, "Your dancing is mine," in accordance with his promise to Kitty's mother, Helena. Baba went with her and Margaret Crass to the home for the needy and met with the old people. As Mrs. Davy had said, many of the elderly were blind, dumb, or deaf. The master's ways are his own. Baba, quotes, spoke, end quotes, to these old people for a long time, dictating messages for them on his board. What he revealed was his love. What was said was less important than the love he gave. Their conversations were not in the language of words. Much is communicated in silence, but it cannot be written. Baba took form only to speak in that language, through which he conveyed all that was necessary, without ever uttering a word. His language was his own, which touched the heart, and only those for whom it was meant understood what he said. Margaret witnessed how happy Helena was and how fortunate the elderly men and women at the shelter were. These abandoned souls were in truth dependent on God's mercy. And God himself went to see them, and their destitution was reconciled by his coming among them. Baba had comforting words for each and gave instructions to some. To one old deaf and blind man, Baba conveyed, quotes, "At night, take a glass of warm water, and as you drink it, recall the feel of my hand on yours, and you will feel better," end quotes. This same man was later well enough to leave his bed and return home. To one woman, Baba gave a rose petal and instructed her to keep it under her pillow. When Baba returned to the Davies' home, he remarked to Kitty, quotes, "Of all the things I have done in the West, I have enjoyed my visit to the home for the needy the most," end quotes. Previously, on 28th December 1931, Mahatma Gandhi had written Chanji, quotes, "My time is so taken up that it is impossible for me to go to Russell Road. Will Meher Baba come to see me at 88 Knightsbridge? If he will, please come or telephone Sloan 4232 and make an appointment. The conference work takes up most of my time. Indeed, you can say practically the whole of it. But I must see Meher Baba, if only to look at him, if he can take the trouble to come here," end quotes. Gandhi later telephoned Chanji saying, whoops, I need it a little lower. Gandhi later telephoned Chanji saying, quotes, "I am eager to see Baba. Even if it is only 5 minutes, I would be happy. Even if you have to carry him here on your shoulders, just bring him," end quotes. On Friday, 2nd October 1931, Baba decided it was time to meet Gandhi again. At 8:15 p.m., accompanied by Chanji and Rustam, Baba went to Kingsley Hall Community Center at Bromley by Bow in the working class East End of London. Footnote. Located at 4 Powys Road, Kingsley Hall was a center dedicated to the upliftment of London's lower classes. Charlie Chaplin had also met Gandhi in London on 22nd September 1931. None of the Westerners accompanied Baba, perhaps as Kitty Davey later related, quotes, "Being 1931, the tension between India and England was such that the subject of Baba's different meetings with Gandhi was almost taboo amongst we early followers of Baba and friends. And I think Baba wished it so." I need to scroll. Baba remarked,
No, it would be after
it looks like the same thing. Okay, sorry. Okay, a little bit lower then. On Friday, 2nd October, 1931, Baba decided it was time to meet Gandhi again. At 8:15, accompanied by Chanji and Rustam, Baba went to Kingsley Hall Community Center at Bromley by Bow in the working class East End of London. Footnote.
You read it already, Rose.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't
So
understand.
Continue from when they arrived.
When they arrived, they found Gandhi surrounded by many people. Seeing Baba enter, Gandhi stood up and received him with great reverence, and then introduced him to all present. Gandhi wished to talk privately with Baba, but their meeting was carried out in the hall in the presence of everyone. Their conversation proceeded as follows. Baba remarked, I have been to a retreat in Devonshire for 12 days. Tomorrow I am proceeding to Turkey. Surprised by this, Gandhi asked, why? For spiritual reasons, Baba replied. The atmosphere in Turkey is very bad and the people are leaning more and more toward materialism. It is necessary for me to go there to change this. Baba then commented about his visit to the West. Quotes, I find the people here in England very pleasant. All who came to me were fine. Berating the English, some in India say they do not care for spirituality. But those who came to see me were quite sincere and honest persons. Some shed tears only by seeing me, and others after my touch. One high society lady first snatched her hand away when I offered mine. Yet after my discourse, she herself came forward, caught me by the hand, and burst into tears. Quotes, a woman artist came and said, how beautiful you are. I am a lover of beauty, but I have no faith in God. My life's ideal is this reality. There is no life after death. Baba. I then explained to her about the existence of God and asked her, do you love beauty? She replied, yes. And I asked, then why don't you love God, who is the beauty of beauties? But since she did not believe in God, how could she love him? I then inquired if she could love me. She instantly replied, who could not love you after seeing you? Baba asked Gandhi, why is this the case? Then Baba explained, people weep at the sight of me and find themselves loving me even when they say they don't love God. It is because I am completely free of desires and I am full of only love from head to foot. This inspires all to love me a great deal. Forgetting their differences of caste, creed, and color, they love me. You cannot do this because you have desires, whether they be large or small. Side by side, you have the ego, which does not draw people to you. Desires kill love. I am the very image of love and only love. Love from head to toe. I am nothing except love. Besides, from eternity, I am full of bliss and enjoy it infinitely. Therefore, I have no trouble. The trouble is when I have to impart this experience to others. I am thinking of residing here in England after my return from Turkey, because people are to be awakened through this love. All who came were aspirants. They are to be put on the path because they are sincere and faithful. Although spirituality is greater in India, the pundits, priests, there have their say too much. Not only is love pushed aside, but even the search is ignored. Besides, on every road in India, we come across sadhus who boast about their way of life. And as you know, cheating is widespread by these false gurus. There are imposters also in England. People are experimenting with everything, even with death. Such things are all due to the cult of some priest, Gandhi pointed out. Quotes, quite true, Baba agreed. I have been saying that no damage to religion is as great as that done by the priest class. Here too are many priests, but the people who came to see me are devotional and loving. And it is a great pleasure for me to talk with them. So I wish to come back here and remain for some time. Changing the topic, Baba then asked Gandhi, what has been the result of our first talk? Regarding what? Gandhi inquired. Quotes, about Hindu-Muslim unity and about a separate or joint electorate. That's Baba. Gandhi. I am working in that direction, but I have doubts about any compromise. I worry about it and am afraid, but I am now at a loss about what to do next. Baba dictated, what harm is there if separate electorates are given? It is definite that some party or other in the future may demand a joint electorate. Gandhi stated, I also want it, but all should agree with me, and then I could do something. I have declared that I am open-minded to all their demands to make them united. But first, they should all meet together and then come to me. But they say that they are in a minority. Still, even though they are a minority, they have their rights and their leaders have standing. Let us see what happens. He who is courageous fears nothing. They too have suffered for the country and gone to prison. How could we suddenly leave them out? For that reason, I have asked Dr. Ansari, and he is coming. Footnote. Mukhtar Ahmed Ansari was president of the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League during the Indian independence movement. Had he not been invited, there would have been obstacles. I have called him on condition that he ask for a joint electorate. Gandhi concluded, A sleeping man can be aroused by sprinkling cold water on him or by shaking him. But what can one do with the man who is awake but does not want to get up? It is useless. It's a scandal. They want separate electorates, but they are playthings, pawns in the hands of the British. Baba replied, but in the end, it should not happen that the British do not grant anything, thereby throwing the blame on the Indian leaders and accusing them of having found no unanimous agreement. So what will be given and how will it be given? It will be like that. When none agree, what can one do? Baba then asked, how do you find the mood of the people here in England? And Gandhi replies, the government and those in authority are like shrewd dacoits. But the behavior of the common people is good. At least this much will be of satisfaction. We have awakened them to the state of affairs in India, and some seed is sown. The fruit will take time to appear, but there is no other way than to have patience with them. If we leave without gaining anything, the British leaders will conclude that we came to roam about for a spell in the jungle. We should be patient until the time comes, because those in the government are unscrupulous. But in the end, they will have to grant us great power. We are not going to sit idly by with our hands folded when we return to India. Some activity and agitations will arise. We will suffer, but we will be patient. Baba spelled out to Gandhi, what I wish you to know is that now India will have to suffer much more, but it is beneficial from the spiritual viewpoint.
Okay, thanks, Rosalie. Mahu, why don't you pick it up here?
Page 1288, year 1931. The more the suffering, the greater the benefit, end quote. True, I think so too, Gandhi replied, because the people will then come to know about the truth. They will realize that they themselves are to blame for internal bickerings, and then there will be no one left to fight with. Absolutely true, and then unity will last. Still, on your part, do your utmost to bring about unity among the Hindus and the Muslims. If it is brought about, good. Otherwise, nothing will happen, and the blame will unnecessarily be laid at your doorstep, Baba stated. Gandhi replied, I am doing that and will keep on striving in that direction. I will do my utmost. We have to put in our best effort. We are not in authority, not even in name. Everything is left to God's will, end quote. Baba nodded, but then said, quote, while the world goes mad with excitement over one question or the other, like this self-government for India, which you all consider to be of vital importance, to me it is all a tamasha, a passing show, a play. I enjoy it because I have experienced death. So there is nothing to worry about. Even such vital questions that they threaten the existence of one community or nation are of practicality, little concern or importance, except when it affects the spiritual development of one or the other. Code, spiritual life is the real life. Everywhere there is bliss, and nothing but bliss. Every moment, every hour, every day, I continually experience it. This bliss is in everyone, and I am pondering how to make the world or mankind aspire to and taste this bliss. But there is a lock put on it, and only I have the key. That is why I only smile at all these quote unquote excitements in the world. End quote. Then, won't you favor me with just one of these keys? Gandhi asked. I will give it. Is that a promise? Actually, it is yours, and you will know it one day. The sooner you strive after it, exclusive of all else, the sooner you will get it. I will help you in your effort and will give it to you when you come to stay with me after retiring from politics, as I previously prescribed. Quote, but the funny part is that though the bliss is within everybody, no one is able to find it. They search outside. I am thinking how to make people see it within and how to make them enjoy it. For that, when I speak, I will say something new. End quote. Page 1289. Will it be as I understand it to be? Gandhi asked. I will speak in a way that is understandable and credible to one and all. End quote. Baba dictated. But when? Gandhi asked. 6 years have already elapsed. This year, within 6 months. Still 6 months more? It is too long. Within 6 months, not before. Then Baba spelled out, within a period of 2 to 6 months, end quote. If it is possible that you might speak in 2 months, this is all right to me, quite okay. I am eager to hear you speak, Baba, Gandhi said. Baba stated, quote, when I met Baba Jan 11 years ago in 1920, she pointed to me and said to the gathering around her, this child of mine will shake the world, will shake the whole world in the future. Baba Jan never spoke openly, but always ambiguously. Yet she said this clearly to people. She dropped her body only recently. She was almost 120 years old. Gandhi queried, will you positively return here from Turkey? I think so, Baba answered. Then I will definitely meet with you again. In the meantime, make every possible effort to unite the Hindus and the Muslims with separate electorates for each. arrive at a definite decision. When I come back, I shall see you and discuss certain matters, end quote. Gandhi confided, I leave it to you to relieve me of all the burden of duties that I have taken upon myself for the cause of India by solving the problem to the satisfaction of all. Then I will be able to stay with you, retire in seclusion, and pass my last days in meditation on God. I cannot leave them all in this chaotic situation. Baba spelled out, quote, it will happen as decreed. You try your best, but remember to leave the result to God and not to worry about it. Your sincere efforts to do your best are enough. You cannot do more. The results are always left to God. Hence, I tell you not to worry. Remember your promise to me. I will see to the rest. End quote. Gandhi said, you know what I am facing. The pressure I am working under, which is increasing daily. I retired last night at 2 a.m. But since you were to visit, one matter was left undone and had to be postponed. I also go to bed about 1 or 2 a.m., Baba replied. Page 1290. But you have no need to sleep. So where is the difficulty? We mortals have to worry about lack of sleep. Baba ended their meeting, indicating to Gandhi, I shall inform you when I return. Gandhi said, absolutely, thank you. And if possible, I will see you. Please do so. I will be very happy. Baba then asked, from here, when and where will you proceed? Gandhi answered, I am here in England until the end of October, then I will leave. I have to meet Romain Rolland in Switzerland. Footnote. Romain Rolland, 1866 to 1944, was a French author and pacifist. He wrote biographies of the German composer Beethoven, the Italian artist Michelangelo, the Russian author Leo Tolstoy, and in 1924, Mahatma Gandhi. He received the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1915. In 1929, he wrote a biography of Ramakrishna, the Sadhguru of Calcutta. I have also had an invitation to visit Berlin. If possible, I will go on to Turkey, but there is no invitation from there. I intend to visit Egypt and Palestine also. Do go to Palestine, Baba urged. I am thinking of going there. From Port Said, the ship has to pass by there. Time permitting, I will go to Palestine. I will be here for only 10 or 12 days after you return. Would you see me then? All right. On my return, I shall inform you before I come, and then we will meet. Now I take your leave. Are you anxious to go somewhere? Yes, I do have to go out. Because you were coming, Baba, I waited for you. While Baba was departing, Gandhi stood up and offered namaskars to Baba, salutations, namaskars or salutations. We joined hands. Bidding farewell, Gandhi shook hands with Chanji and Rustam. Gandhi was especially happy to have seen Baba, as that day his 62nd birthday of Gandhi, of course. After this meeting with Mahatma Gandhi, Baba returned to the Devi's house. This would be Baba's last night with his English followers. Baba was to leave the next morning for Istanbul, Turkey. Before Baba departed, one of the maids named Elsie wished to meet alone with him. Baba permitted it. Elsie accepted Baba's loving embrace and said, "You are a wonderful gentleman. I love you so much. Do you love me?" Nodding yes, Baba indicated that she had a very good heart, and this made Elsie happy. Another maid, Edna Brain, was also attracted to Baba and served him wholeheartedly. Much to her consternation, Kitty's sister, May Claus, continued to weep sorrowfully. That evening, when she wept with her head on Baba's shoulder for 2 hours and then caught hold of his feet, she kept kissing them and touching them with her forehead and cheeks. (1291) She made Baba promise that if he went to America, he would come and visit her home in Canada. Why does it say he? During his last night, Kitty, May, Delia, Margaret, Kim, Minta, Quentin, and Purdom stayed with Baba until 1 in the morning. They wept most of the time in Baba's presence. Baba looked so beautiful, and they were so sorrowful at his departure. Addressing the Mandali, their hearts sobbed. "You are taking our beloved away. Don't be cruel. Don't take him with you. Let him stay here with us." After records of Paul Robeson's songs were played. After records of Paul Robeson's songs were played, Baba dismissed the group. Shortly afterward, Baba called Kitty back to his room and spelled out on the board, quote, "Which is greater, my love for you or your love for me?" End quote. Kitty hesitated and then said that his love for her was greater. Baba smiled approvingly. An hour later, little Jenny complained of a painfully throbbing knee. Kitty went upstairs and told Baba, and he came down to see her. The child had mentioned it to Kitty the day before. Turning to Kitty, Baba asked, quote, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Kitty explained that she thought a master did not have time for such matters. Baba replied, quote, "In the future, always tell me of anything that goes wrong." End quote. At 9:30 on Saturday morning, 3 October 1931, Baba started for Istanbul, accompanied by Aga Ali, Chanji, Rostam, and Meredith, leaving his dear ones in tears as melodies to sing his song. Margaret Starr, who had been sent for the previous day from East Chalacombe, and Delia accompanied them as far as Dover. Baba boarded the luxurious Simplon Orient Express train in Calais, after taking the ferry across the English Channel, and arrived in Milan, Italy the next day. There's a footnote. Baba shared his compartment with Ali, Chanji, and Meredith. Baba shared his compartment with Ali. Chanji and Meredith were in another compartment, and Rostam in a third. The group was met by Enid, who brought fruit, biscuits, cheese, and cakes for them to eat before proceeding. The train reached Istanbul at noon on the 6th of October via Venice, Trieste, Belgrade, and Sofia. From the train station, the group took a taxi to the Hotel Continental, where they were to stay. That day happened to be a national holiday in Turkey, and a long military parade was making its way through the crowded streets of Istanbul. Baba's taxi slowly reached the hotel behind the procession. As in London, a crowd unknowingly greeted the master's arrival. Baba was back in the East and did not wear a hat, allowing his long hair to be exposed, which caught people's attention. None of the Turks knew that the emperor was among them, age observed, though those who saw him were wonderstruck by his beautiful countenance.
Okay, thanks, Maho. Ralph, would you like to take a turn? Or Elizabeth?
Yeah, I can.
Alrighty, go ahead.
The West learns to sing. That evening, they went to a play, but it turned out to be in French, which none, including Meredith, could understand. The next day, Rustam went to buy a tie and some breeches for Chanji in the bazaar. When Baba found out, he scolded Chanji, who answered in defense that he did not ask for them. Rustam was simply replacing what he had borrowed from Chanji earlier. Nonetheless, Baba reprimanded Chanji. You called for them indirectly. Don't hide your desires. You wanted them. Despite acquiring them through Rustam, you still say you did not ask for them? Chanji took Baba's scolding badly. He was fed up and could not bear his teasing anymore. Unknown to the Westerners, since arriving in Europe, Baba had been taunting Chanji mostly, wounding his heart by becoming angry with him on the smallest pretext. On one occasion, Kitty innocently asked Baba why Chanji and Rustam were looking so sad since they were with him all the time. Baba had brushed her off, replying, "Due to their deep love. They are not sad. It is the pain of love. Their love for me is unbearable to them." Traveling with Meher Baba to the West might appear to an outsider as a fun vacation, but life with the master was a life of death for the disciples. Just a few days before, when the train had stopped in Paris and they got down for a coffee, Baba's pricking had begun. And Chanji later wrote in his diary, "Everyone wishes to be with Baba, but few know the price of it." Baba's real work was to crush the false selves of his circle members. And this was a painful and often humiliating process. For instance, at Baba's remarks about Chanji's new clothes, Chanji took them off and slung them on the floor, bitterly complaining, "Now I can no longer stay with you. I am leaving." Baba responded sharply, "Go. Who needs you? But don't defy or threaten me, thus throwing away everything spiritual. It doesn't matter if you go away. I can manage everything. I will break my silence so that there will be no necessity for anyone to read the board. I myself am fed up with all this dictation. I shall go neither to America nor anywhere else. I shall return to India. I do not wish to go there at this time, but if I do go, it will be because of him, Chanji, against my will and plans." Poor Chanji. Next page. Oh, Chanji burst into tears and cried, as he had never done before, cursing his lot and blaming himself for ever having joined Meher Baba. Baba left, but came back to his room after a little while and tried to calm him, remarking, "Don't you know I have my reasons for treating you like this?" Chanji continued to weep. "It is unbearable now, Baba. Every day like this. Please have some mercy on me. I can't stand it." Baba countered, "This is mercy. This is my grace. Calm down now and don't think about it." Baba then embraced Chanji lovingly and directed him to wash his face, after which Baba wiped it dry with a towel. Gathering his composure, Chanji asked for Baba's forgiveness. Baba nodded and smiled. Such scenes were repeated time and again with each of those who stayed with Baba. Wow. In Istanbul, the search for a good boy again began. Baba wanted a Turkish boy for his special work. On 8th October 1931, after 3 days of searching in the city, one youth was found. He was a good-looking youth of 16 who knew several languages, including English, Turkish, French, Hebrew, and Greek. His father was an export-import merchant. No sooner had the boy seen Baba than he was greatly drawn to him. He was invited to join Baba in the mandali downstairs for dinner. Only vegetarian dishes were ordered for Baba and the mandali, but Baba indicated to Rustam to order a meat dish for the boy. But the boy said, "If Baba is not eating meat, I will not eat it also." Baba liked this quality in him. That day at the hotel, while discussing the significance of his meeting with Mahatma Gandhi, Baba revealed, "It was my power as a master that made Gandhi ask for the key." After 2 days, the boy brought a younger friend named Holfan. Baba and the two boys, Rustam, Ali, and Chanji, went to see the mosque at Hagia Sophia. Holfan was about to show Baba around, but before they entered the larger mosque, A guide became angry with Holfan and began abusing him in Turkish. He summoned the police and complained that Holfan was posing as a guide. The policeman took Holfan into custody. The boy was frightened, so Bob and the group accompanied him to the police station. There, the police were told that Holfan was not engaged as a guide, but as their servant, staying with them in the hotel, and that he had merely accompanied them sightseeing. Next page. The police freed Holtan, but Baba did not return to the mosque. He went instead to see a museum, but it was closed. Footnote. Are you reading it, Marvin?
Sure. The museum Baba went to may have been the Topkapi Palace Museum, which holds relics of the Prophet Muhammad, his robe, footprints, his bow and hair from his head.
As they were driving around, their taxi driver suggested that they might be interested in seeing an old Christian church that had been converted into an Islamic mosque. It was far away, but Baba decided to see it. Most of the Chora monastery was in a dilapidated condition, but in the main hall, a mosaic of Christ with his 12 apostles was intact. There was also one of Mother Mary with the baby Jesus in her arms. Afterwards, Baba directed the taxi driver into the slums of Istanbul, populated by the poorest people of the city. Out of his unbounded compassion, Baba walked through a few streets there and then returned to the hotel. On Sunday, 11th October 1931, while discussing certain matters with Rustam and Chanji, Baba disclosed the purpose of his visit to Turkey. I have come here on a most important work, and though I have met no one externally, I am doing a great deal internally. Although it was once great, at present, Turkey is a most debased country. In the realm of spirituality, it is today nowhere. Militarily and materially, it has progressed, but it is home to many dishonest and undesirable people. To counter the very strong evil forces working here, a powerful spiritual force is required. And for that reason, I have come in person. Wow. The next day, Chanji went to the office of Thomas Cook Travel Agents to book their passage to America. Baba did not wish to proceed to America via England, so a different route had to be mapped out. Rustam also booked his passage to Alexandria. Baba was sending him back to India specifically through Egypt on certain work. Rustam left the following morning. Baba was required to go to the Persian and Italian consulates on the 13th for permission to travel to Italy, and the manager of the hotel, Mr. Blunt, proved most helpful in making arrangements for Baba and his traveling companions. On the 13th, about his spiritual working, particularly in regard to the coming war, Baba commented, "The war will be short, but most destructive. Question mark. Will be wiped off. I have fixed it up. All will have to suffer, including England, but America will decide the final issue again. There will be civil war in India."
Okay, thanks, Elizabeth.
Welcome.
I think we have time for one more reader. Ralph, would you like to pick it up?
Okay. I'm awake now. Leaving Istanbul by train on Wednesday, 14th October 1931 at 5:35 p.m. Baba arrived in Milan 2 days later. On the afternoon of the 16th at 5:30. Enid was to meet them at the station, but as she did not show up, Baba went to her apartment. Very apologetically, Enid regretted her delay and took them to the Albergo Imperial, where she had made reservations for 9 days in rooms on the 10th floor.
I'll read the
Three,
footnote. Oh, go ahead, Ralph.
oh, three rooms had been. Well, you usually read these, aren't you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh,
I'll do it. I'll do it. It's a little.
uh,
It's not that important. It's 3 rooms were booked. One for Baba, one for Ali, one each for Chanji and Meredith. Baba wanted Meredith to share a room so they would not have to spend unnecessarily, but Meredith had refused.
The next afternoon, Baba went by bus to the Certosa Monastery, about an hour's drive outside the city. He liked the place very much, as it was quiet and solitary. He had a complete look throughout the monastery. Baba liked the individual meditation cells the best. He sat on one of the verandas facing an open courtyard for half an hour and praised the spiritual atmosphere. Unlike at other public places, Baba was not in a hurry to leave, and his former morose mood since arriving in Milan, Chanji noted, now seemed changed. There and later, Baba explained about his spiritual work to Enid and a friend of hers named Theo, who had accompanied them. It is absolutely impossible for an ordinary man to understand my work. With my universal mind, I work on an unlimited scale for the universe. To understand what I do is not within the bounds of human intellect. I always work for the universe and not for myself. Why would I need to work for myself? I do my work through various mediums. With that object in mind, I visit places, see different sites, or go to plays, films, and do 101 other things. But I do not enjoy movies or the theater as you do. I make them the medium of my inner spiritual work. My every breath does this work constantly, while outwardly you find me doing nothing special. You cannot grasp the internal mystery. I have to do great work for the welfare of humanity. It is my universal duty. Times are critical, and due to certain crises, my responsibility has increased in proportion to the circumstances and prevailing conditions. I am the emperor of the spiritual kingdom, and every second receive inner reports, quote unquote reports, and messages from every corner of the universe. Because of the troublesome times we are facing, I am inwardly receiving only distressing reports, such as the conflict between China and Japan.
We've got only about 2 minutes here, so maybe we should.
Well, why can't we finish this section?
Okay. Oh, I guess we're.
What is the section?
Now we're seeing Ralph and not the